Hello everybody, Lucarios here, and welcome to week 2 of TEC, going up against Thunder and the Pittsburgh Melmetals. And I did record this video perfectly normally, did a team breakdown, live commed over the match and stuff, but then it just felt insulting to myself to then present the video in that way when the match went the way it did. And it's just been a bit of I can't speak. This is going to be completely uncut because I can't cut audio recording it this way, so be wary of me just being an idiot. So this match was just kind of an amalgamation of me having a bad couple of days, and if I have one lesson to take from this game in general, it's that if I don't feel like I have been able to prep sufficiently for a game, and I don't feel in the right state of mind to be playing the game, and I've got multiple days after where we've arranged to play the game to still be able to play the game, just don't play the game. Because I did not prep well for this one at all. I would go as far as saying this is the worst I've ever prepped for a game. It was littered with mistakes, like having a random fourth move on Scolipede, which did 2% more damage to a Don fan, rather than having Protect, be faster than the Pidgeot, be faster than a Scarf Dracovish, be faster than a Scarf Dracozole, be faster than a Scarf Vanillux. Like, all things that are there. The other stuff, I don't even remember what other stuff is on his team, to be honest. It's been a couple of days since I did this. I took the weekend off and really kind of reset myself a bit because I was just a bit all over the place. So that's that, and you'll see how badly this game goes. But essentially, I don't know what I was doing in prep. I think what I basically did was I went, okay, let's prep really well for the rest of the team, and I'll work out something for Vish later. And then I never worked anything out for Vish, which you'll see. It was just awful, and I should have brought Eldegoss, even though it meant Ferrothorn could do an annoying amount. If I didn't have, because it's a stall breaker Delphox, but I could have just used Swampert to momentum around the defense and get another stuff. I should have had Eldegoss here because it was my one thing that checked Dracovish, because I kind of went, oh, Eldegoss gets 2-shot by Banded Vish, he's going to bring Banded Vish because he'll expect Eldegoss and do all of that, and it's like, no, Scarf Vish outspeeds my entire team and kills it all. Like, I had to bring Eldegoss here, and I bring it over Delphox, and this match is completely different, quite frankly, but Zapdos was also really good here, outside of Deoxys. I probably should have brought that. I think this team wasn't quite working for me, so I actually, after this game, went, okay, I'm going to change the team up. So I'll talk about that later on. I've got about 14 minutes of time to fill here, so I should have plenty of time to do that. And I think what this whole thing comes down to in the end is just, I think I just put too much pressure on myself with this one. I think that is what it comes down to. I had a bit of a busy start to the week, and then I was like, oh yeah, I've got plenty of time to play on Friday. Ended up not prepping properly. Was thinking, okay, I can go and do this. I need to do really well because I play two really good players weeks 4 and 5. Although Snex actually drops, I don't know how good his replacement is, to be fair, but I'm going to assume pretty good. So I was like, oh, I need to try and be positive in my first 3 games, have a positive record, be doing really well. And yeah, I put too much pressure on myself on that, I think, whereas I can, on my day, beat anyone, I think, and I think I've done that before. I've beaten some really good players in my time, and the issue I have is what, like, people have said before about me and stuff, is that I just randomly turn my brain off sometimes, and it happens once or twice every season, and I get 6-0'd for it every single time because I just turn my brain off, and it's like, what on earth am I doing? Sometimes, and this is where this whole thing goes horribly wrong. You turn out on Deoxys first turn, think, okay, I'll go Delphox on to stall break stuff, and then he just clicks teleport and goes Vish and gets 6 kills. So I mean, I can talk about Vish now because Vish was 13 points in this draft, and should a 13.1 be able to do that from the second turn of a game? No. Is it my fault that Vish was able to do that from the second turn of a game? Yes. In my opinion, Vish should probably be 14 or 15 points, not 13, because like this team had Lele. That was the other thing. So I'm like, it's like I've got like AV Celesteela because it deals with Lele well. It's like I had to bring stuff like that. But this team forced so many brings, which is I kind of think why I didn't bring Eldegoss or something, because it kind of lost everything else. But it's a Dracovish that I flat out lose to if it's scarfed, if I don't have Eldegoss. So why don't I have Eldegoss? I pride myself on being a very cautious, defensive and safe prepper that preps for all circumstances. I just didn't prep for Dracovish. It's just absolutely absurd. There was an Entei as well, which is what Swamput's for. And then after Dracovish gets because it was after I realised it didn't have Protect on Scolipede. I was like, how on earth has that happened? I just kind of gave up. I didn't actually realise Swamput lived a hit, and I could have Toxic'd it and actually brought down Dracovish, and I would have at least probably brought the differential a bit closer. But that's what it is. Because I found out afterwards that he had like Psychic on the Deoxys, and he had like Gyroball and Ferrothorn, so I didn't really have an opportunity to click what's it called on Thingamabob. Is there a reason this video isn't playing right now? Or am I just on the calc? I might just be on the calc. Yeah, here we are. Yeah, so there's Dracovish, and it just gets like 6 kills now. So that's a thing. But yeah, it's what it is sometimes. I have this one every time. So I'm 1-1, but I have like the worst differential you could possibly have being 1-1. I guess unless you have like a double down win and it's an 0-0 win, but I'm 1-1 -5, which puts me like 11 for 12, I think. No, probably worse than that. I don't think anyone's. I don't know if any people are 0-2, so I'm probably nearish the bottom, like very near the. I'm probably like 13th or 14th. So that's great. So I kind of immediately went. I just have to let Delphox go down because it's either Scarfed and I have absolutely no switch-ins, or it's banned and I do like 50% to it here. And that was kind of the idea. And it showed Scarf, and we were like, oh, why not Scarf for Scarf? It's like, oh, I actually have no switch-ins to Dracovish at all. And yes, it's like I did take a risk, I guess, of drafting this kind of team. I said at the time, it's the most offensive team I've ever drafted. But offensive teams don't really work when I don't have enough, because essentially for this kind of team to work, you need really strong defense. I think I do have very strong defensive pieces. Stealer, Florges, Swampert is a really good defensive kind of core to have here. Like the defensive piece core, I think that's actually really, really strong, and I have no issues with that. What you need on this kind of team is a lot more direct, immediate offense than I have. Stuff like Coco is obviously amazing, but Coco is great for its speed, its moves, and its ability to momentum and stuff. It's not the hardest hitter in the world, and it will never be the hardest hitter in the world. I have 2 mons that have to click Protect to be fast. My only proper immediate threat mon on the team currently is Zapdos. As you saw last week with the banded set, even though I got terrible rolls. I guess a part of the whole thing comes down to last week's game as well, because that was just not enjoyable to play, and that's not me hating on Red or anything. It's far from it. He played that game the way he should have done. It was the right way of playing it. I almost closed the tab at this point. I didn't try and go and forfeit. I almost accidentally closed the tab and I went back to went off the calc. It's nothing like that. I think Red's great. But that game was just awful to play, and it really was. And I don't think I was in the right state of mind to be playing that game at that time either. So I think that kind of not killed my motivation or anything, but it kind of demotivated me slightly. And then I saw the matchup I had this week, which was just tough with Dracovish and stuff like that. I was just like, my brain just went, yeah, not this week, which is really frustrating. Because I want to do well. I wanted to prep well for this one. And I do think if I bring Eldegoss over Delphox, this game is very different because it's a jolly scarfed Dracovish. So Eldegoss takes like 35% from a Fishious Rend. That's pretty good. And with Regenerator, I basically just get to keep switching out. I basically click Leech Seed, either on Fish staying in for no reason, or I'm going like Vanillux or something. And then the only hiccup there is that the Vanillux is probably Aurora Veil, predicting kind of that Eldegoss situation, so I would have probably struggled with Aurora Veil. I don't know if I would have won the game or anything, but that one difference in prep would have made so much difference, or even just having Protect on Scolipede would have made so much difference, because I could essentially go Scolipede here, because at this point I realised Scolipede didn't have Protect, I think, and I can go Scolipede here, click Protect, and then fasten Dracovish, and I basically click like Poison Jet. I think Mega Horn is the only thing that kills at this stage. So I have to click Mega Horn. He goes like Ferrothorn or Deoxys or just sacks Dracovish, which is amazing as well. And then I get to try and click Swords Dance, take a lot of damage, and we basically end up at like 3 versus 3 or like 2 versus 3, something like that, later on in a very fast-paced game. And that's kind of how it could have gone if I had. That's if I just had Protect on Scolipede. If I had Eldegoss in this game, it could have been very, very different, and I would have stood a much better chance. But you fail to prepare, you prepare to fail. It's an idiom, and it's like that is exactly what happened here. So there's that. I think it's just a case of I was in a bit of a rut, and I've made the changes to the team to try and get myself out of that rut, because I was trying to prep for my game next week and I just hated the matchup again. So I was like, clearly if I have gone into 3 matchups not liking any of them, it's the team I have an issue with. So I made a lot of changes to the team, which I will go over now. So kind of the thing that I said to go for, wanted to do, was I said, okay, I have 5, I think the core of the team is really good, the 5 mons that are the core, so Coco, Stealer, Swampert and Florges. I think, no, yes, Coco, Stealer, Zapdos, Swampert and Florges. The 5 core mons of the team I think are really, really strong. And I liked that core a lot. Where I then, which is I guess down to the fact that the draft came up on me so quickly, is I didn't plan well around those. Even after I made the trade with Thunder and still made it good, I think it wasn't bad by any means. It got high in PRs, like, it was by no means bad, but it didn't work for me, and I've made changes to make it work more for me. So the only other thing that stayed on the team was Delphox, because I actually think Delphox works really, really nicely with Zapdos plus Coco, because the fire and psychic typing is both really, really nice. So I switched things up, and I kind of made mock prep for everyone, and Sharpedo was coming to like 6 of the 8 games, and I was like, for a 9-point mon, yeah, that's awesome, but that's over-reliance on a mon that isn't that good ultimately. So I thought, okay, I want a different offensive water. So the first thing I did was pick up Starmie. And worth pointing out here, Delphox stays on the team, everything else was dropped. So Scolopede's gone, Sharpedo's gone, Eldegoss is gone, and whatever the other one on my team is gone. Landorus, which I literally was not coming to any games, which is, I was trying to offload it for ages. In some way, I was thinking of maybe dropping it for Excadrill plus like Eldegoss and stuff, but that wasn't going to work out. So then I go, okay, so I pick up Starmie instead, which one gives me that spinner that I needed, so I don't have to worry about picking up a low tier spinner, which means I don't have the need for Eldegoss massively anymore, so I can focus on that. And Starmie is just a nice offensive water that also has good defensive options. It's got good HP and good defenses. It's not amazing defensively or anything, and it is better offensively, but it can do a defensive job in certain matchups, which is just, it's just giving me more defensive options to work with, because Delphox has decent defensive options. Stuff like Scolipede and Sharpedo just doesn't, and I like having lots of defensive options. And it's at this point that I actually realised that Swampert lived, which I didn't think it did, so I get the Toxic off. If I'd done that earlier, I potentially had a chance to at least kill the Dracovish. But yeah, it just didn't quite work out, because I could have gone Florges and stalled by clicking Protect, essentially, and sacked stuff that way. So it was just, I just stopped trying, basically. So Starmie picks up, and Starmie is really, really cool. Analytic is a great ability that makes it hit really, really hard when people switch out, which is awesome. It gets good coverage. Like, it's another psychic type from poisons, which I like, which is nice for Zapdos and Coco. The water typing is just really nice for grounds and stuff, and it gets stuff like Ice Beam. Gets like, I think it gets grass moves as well, so it gets some really, really nice stuff, and it's a spinner, which is cool as well, and it has defensive utility options, and being a rapid spinner is also really nice. And the next one I picked up was, I'm going to have to, because I've only got 30 seconds left to talk, so I might have to get a different window up soon. Yeah, because that's that. So, oh yeah, okay, so I'm going to just, yeah, so the next one I went, okay, that actually looks really, really solid. Was I said, okay, I want speed, because Starmie is also really nice because it's 115 base speed, which solves that slight speed tier issue I had. So that's the thing as well. It's gets a lot of good stuff, and it's underrated now, I think, compared to where it was before. So hold on just a second while I sort that out. Okay, so here we are, and I've just realised I'm going to have to add music to this separately because I forgot to put it on in the background. But that's fine. I think I forgot to do it in my ADBL battle I played the other week as well, which stay tuned for that one on Friday because it was a really close battle, really fun one. I also just found out in setting this little showdown thing up that Starmie gets flip turn, so that's awesome as well. It's another momentum one, which is something I really, really enjoy. Is going with a bit of momentum, so gets some really, really nice stuff. Gets great coverage. It gets flash cannon as well. It does get grass knot, so I really, really gets dazzling gleam as well. Like, I really, really think Starmie could be really, really good for me. That's cool. And it teleports, which is cool. And it gets Thunderbolt. Like, it gets everything. It gets everything. This thing gets everything. So I did that. Then the next one I went with is Shaman. And I think the one thing that I kept thinking in prep was I really want a grass attack here. And I really want a bulky grass here. And Eldegoss is, I think Eldegoss is a really solid low tier option. I really do. I really do think it's a solid low tier option. It's not something I can bring consistently. Shaman really is. Shaman is awesome. Doesn't get a load of coverage, but it gets enough. Gets like air/earth power. Obviously the grass moves, can do all of that, can leech seed, can do all of that good stuff, even gets like Zen headbutt. It gets synthesis, which is the key thing. This team didn't have enough like reliable recovery to it outside of the wishes. So that's nice to have something that can reliably do that. It's like the Zygarde check, I guess, as well. And it's a Vish check, which is good. In case I have to play Thunder again, in the off chance I make playoffs now with my differential in the bin. So there's that, and it's aromatherapy mon as well. Shaman is great. It really is. Base 100 across the board means it can do so many different things. It's another bulky option for me. It's an offensive option for me in case grass is really good offensively, because there are a lot of teams where grass is quite a good offensive type in this league right now. So I really like Shaman on this team as well. Ignore the fact that the Articuno doesn't have a nickname yet. I haven't thought of one. I kind of thought of these straight off the bat. But yeah, so you can even run Swords Dance and stuff, and yeah, Shaman's. I love Shaman's design as well. I really like it. So I'm happy to finally be using it. I think the team is so much better now in terms of stuff like Starmie and this Mega Absol here, adding more direct threats that are going to be really threatening immediately, and teams struggling to switch into it all. Then adding more defensive backbone of stuff like Shaman and Starmie being able to be defensive, and Articuno is actually very bulky as well, despite its typing not being good. So that's something to work with. Mega Absol is now, I think, third for the thing I've now used in the most individual seasons, because I picked it up last season as well. It's like 5th in my all-time kills. I really enjoy this thing. Like for it's like a lower tier Mega, but it's still really good. Like there were certain matchups, like against Jigglypigs last season, where Absol was just incredible in that matchup. Even though I lost that game, Absol put in a load of work there. It just hits hard, knockoff is great, it gets ridiculous amounts of coverage with Ice Beam, Flamethrower, close combat, play rough, basically everything under the sun. It's really strong. I love this mon a lot, and we're going with Ruin on this one because that's what Scolipede was, and I want to try and keep that going. It fits Absol very well because I obviously need to keep a Dark type on the team for 1, threatening Ghosts because I don't have a Ghost type, 2, threatening Psychics because I don't have great ways of doing that, and 3, actually being able to switch into Ghosts and Psychics, which I don't do massively well with otherwise. So that's always nice. It's got workable defenses, I guess, if you wanted to invest in it. It can run Wish and stuff. It's another one that gets Air/Slash randomly as well. So there's that. It gets a lot of good stuff. It really does. So I'm really excited. It gets Megahorn. I did not even know that. It's good. I'm excited to use this one again. I've used it 3 out of 4 seasons now in SPDL/TEC because I drafted it flat out in minors, and then picked it up now in the last 2 seasons. Finishing off here, I had 6 points left over. I was thinking, okay, I want something that's going to be usable in 6 points, and Articuno I was like, actually that's perfect because Ice is another type I've kind of wanted in certain matchups to just be able to hit stuff. And then I looked at Articuno stats, I was like, that's actually very bulky because I can obviously run Boots to negate Stealth Rocks and stuff like that, so I don't have to worry massively about that. And I know Ice is an awful defensive typing, but to check certain things, you know, this could work. This could definitely work. It can Veil if I put Hail up, potentially. And it's just decent. It's another Defogger as well, so another hazard remover, which is always good. And just Ice is a great offensive typing, so adding that is really nice. And it can U-turn, it can do all of that kind of stuff. It can be really strong here. And hopefully it can do. It won't be like, it'll be like very rarely brought probably, but it could be cool. It could definitely be cool. It will have good matchups here. So I made those changes to the team, and you'll see them next week when I battle Iraz because they have come into effect. It was actually past midnight my time when I made them, but it's based on American time with the transaction and stuff, so it goes into effect for week 3. So I get to use this new team. And I think compacting the team was good here because I think last season I did the same thing, compacted the team, and it made it slightly better. And I think I've done the same thing here because I don't deal. I mean, to be fair, I've just added a Swirlix. I've just gotten rid of like the extra Swirlix basically. But I think this team is a lot better now because there was no matchup where Lando I was good. Scolipede was good in limited matchups as well, even though I absolutely love Scolipede. It just didn't really have matchups. in this season, unfortunately. And Sharpedo is great, but I wanted something offensive water-wise that was going to be a bit more reliable, which is why I wanted Urshifu Rapid Strike originally, because I thought that's going to be a reliable bring. Starmie will be a reliable bring, so hopefully that can go really, really well, and I will hopefully be able to turn this season around a bit, even though we're only 2 games in and I am 1-1 still. So there's that. Why does Absol have 0 attack IVs? That is the question. That is indeed the question. So thank you for watching, everybody, despite my terrible performance. See you guys in the next one. Goodbye.